Greetings and welcome to part 3 of the calculus series. In this video, we'll be looking at the product rule for differentiation. And maybe along the way, Professor Calculus would also explain to us how it applies to rocket science. The success criteria for today would be for students to be able to apply the product rule for differentiation. In part 1 of the calculus series, we started on the concept of the derivative. For any given function at any given point, the derivative will tell us the gradient of the tangent at that point. We can also call it the gradient function. We have learned that for power functions, the derivative of ax to the power of n would be anx to the power of n minus 1. So basically, power to the front and the power minus 1. Aside from the power rule that applies solely to power functions, we have come across some general rules. In part 1, we have learned the sum rule that states that you can add the functions together before or after you find the derivatives. Same goes for subtraction. In part 2, we have learned the chain rule that applies to the composition of any two functions or more. We can interpret it as the substitution of some part of the function as u and differentiating the function with respect to u before multiplying the chain, which is the derivative of u with respect to x. Today, we'll continue with the product rule that applies to the product of two functions. Now, the geometrical interpretation of the product rule is as follows. Let's say I have this rectangle, and the height is defined by some function u, and this u varies with x. Meanwhile, I have the length, and the length is defined by a separate function v that also changes as x changes. The area of this rectangle will be given by the product u times v. How will this area change as we change x by the tiniest little bit? Firstly, the height will change. Let's call this the change in u. Secondly, the length will change as well. Let's call this change the change in v. In total, the area would have increased by this blue, this red, and this yellow rectangle. Now let's quantify the total change in area. Firstly, we have the blue rectangle, and that area is given by v multiplied by the change in u. Secondly, we have the red rectangle, and that area is given by u times the change in v. Lastly, we have the yellow rectangle, and that area is just the change in u multiplied by the change in v. So if we divide each term by a change in x and then take the limit of each term as the change in x tends to 0, then on the left hand side we'll get the derivative of the product u times v, and that will be equals to v times du dx plus u times dv dx. Now the last term, it will vanish because in the numerator we have the product of two things raising to 0. This will give us the product rule. So with the geometrical intuition out of the way, let's go through the formal first principle derivation using limits. So the limit definition of the duv dx is as follows. Now you can observe in the numerator what I have here is the change in uv, and in the denominator I have h, which represents the change in x. So the trick here is I'm going to add and subtract ux plus h and vx. So this allows me to split it into two different limits. In the first limit, notice that u of x plus h is a common factor, so I can factorize that out. And as h tends to 0, u of x plus h will just become u of x. So that will be my u. And what's left? I have the change in v over the change in x. So that's just dv dx. In the second limit, what I have in common is vx. So vx is common, that's just v. And what's left? I have a change in u over change in h. So that will be the du dx when I take limits. So you can see that from this derivation, I will get the product rule u dv dx plus v du dx. Now, using the product rule, try problem 1. Differentiate the following expressions with respect to x. Pause the video here and give this question a good try. Let's now apply the product rule. But before that, we need to set up the product. So we'll let u equals to x and v to be 3x minus 1 to the power of 5. So let's compute du dx. Differentiating x gives us 1. To differentiate v with respect to x, we'll need to apply the chain rule. So we'll first make a substitution. We'll let g equals to 3x minus 1. We'll differentiate v with respect to g. That will give us 5g to the power of 4. Don't forget, we still need to multiply by the chain, which is a dg dx. So we can compute this. 5g to the power of 4 will give us 5 times of 3x minus 1 to the power of 4. And the chain, when we differentiate g with respect to x, that will give us 3. So now we can put it together to differentiate the product u times v. And that will give us u dv dx plus v du dx. We'll need to further simplify this. Notice that there's a common factor of 3x minus 1 to the power of 4 in both terms. So we can factorize that out, collect what's remaining, and we'll get a 18x minus 1 as the final factor. So 3x minus 1 to the power of 4 times 18x minus 1 will be our final answer. So let's set up the product for part B. We'll let u equals to square roots of x and v to be 1 minus 2x squared whole thing to the power of 6. So differentiating u with respect to x, we'll get 1 over 2 root x. Differentiating v, we'll need to apply the chain rule. So we can make a substitution. We'll let g equals to 1 minus 2x squared. So differentiating v with respect to g will give us 6g to the power of 5, and we'll have to multiply by the chain, which is the dg dx. Next, we can substitute back the g. So g will be replaced by 1 minus 2x squared, so we get 6 times 1 minus 2x squared, whole thing to the power of 5, multiplied by the chain, and the chain is differentiating 1 minus 2x squared, that will give us negative 4x. Now we can put that together to differentiate the product. So differentiating the product will give us u dv dx plus v du dx. Now this is quite complicated, but we can further simplify this. Now notice that we have 1 minus 2x squared to the power of 5 that's common on both sides. But we also have this square root x in the denominator. So we want to make it same denominator first as well. So on the left side, I can change it to negative 48x squared over 2 root x. Now I have a denominator of 2 root x on both sides, and I have a common factor of 1 minus 2x squared to the power of 5. So I'll factorize that all out. What is left will be a 1 minus 50x squared. So this will be our final answer. And as promised, let's take the product rule to space. Let's see how it applies to rocket science. Perhaps you may have already come across Newton's second law in physics, and perhaps your physics teacher has taught you that force is equals to mass times acceleration. That is actually inaccurate. In space, in the absence of gravity and friction, the net force should be 0, so no acceleration would be possible by that interpretation of the second law. Well, it turns out that Newton's second law is not F equals to ma, but force is the derivative of momentum, and momentum is mass times velocity. Normally, when you differentiate this, you should get mass times the time derivative of velocity, and that derivative should give you acceleration, which is where F equals to ma comes from. However, we've just covered the product rule, and in the product rule, we'll get a second term, velocity times the time derivative of mass. And normally, this time derivative of mass should be 0, but for rockets, that's not true. The mass change is non-zero. What happens is that fuel is burnt and expelled as hot gas. Taking this change in mass is an important fact needed to derive the classical rocket equation. And this equation we will cover later when we reach differential equations. Problem number 2. Derive the product rule for the differentiation of the product of 3 functions. Pause the video here and give this question a good try. So, using the product rule, we can treat f as the first function and g times h as the second function v. Now, we'll get the v times the du dx. So I'll write the du dx as f prime of x plus the u dv dx. Now the dv dx is not done yet. We have to differentiate the product of g and h. So that would imply using the product rule again. So g is our first function and h is our second function. So when we differentiate that, we will get v times the du dx, which is g prime x, plus u times dv dx, which is h prime x. When we've simplified everything, notice that we have three terms, and in each term, you will have only one factor that has been differentiated. So for example, in the first term, we've kept g and h, differentiated f. In the second term, we've kept f and h, differentiated g. And in the third term, we've kept f and g and differentiated h. So the general rule is that you take turns to differentiate function by function across the three terms. And this is extendable to products of four functions or more. Problem number 3, and we have an O-level question here. It is given that y is this quartic equation, x minus 2 times 2x minus 5 to the power of 3. Determine the values of x for which y is a decreasing function. Pause the video here and give this question a good try. So what we have is a polynomial function represented by this green graph, and we want to know where is it a decreasing function, meaning that where is it downward sloping, where does it have a negative gradient. Well, first we can find the gradient function. We can use the product rule. So we'll set u equals to x minus 2 and v to be 2x minus 5 cubed. Now we can find the du dx, that's just 1. The dv dx, we'll need to use the chain rule. So we'll replace 2x minus 5 with g. So when we differentiate v with respect to g now, the dv dg will be 3g squared. But don't forget, we must multiply by the chain. So times the dg dx. And the dg dx will be 2. So when we sub that in, dv dx will give us 3 times of 2x minus 5 squared times 2. So now we can find the dy dx, which is equals to the u dv dx plus the v du dx. Now notice that we have a common factor of 2x minus 5 squared. So we can take out the common factor, simplify it, we'll get 2x minus 5 squared times 8x minus 17. So going back to the question, we must remember that what we want at the end of the day is for the derivative to be negative. So if we look at what we have in the gradient function, you see that the 2x minus 5 squared part is going to be always positive, because anytime you square something, you can't get a negative number. That means that the 8x minus 17 part has to be the negative. So we can solve that linear inequality, and that will give us x to be less than 17 over 8, and that is our final answer. So going back to the success criteria that we've set up at the start of the lesson, are you now able to apply the product rule for differentiation? So if you have any questions or problems regarding this lesson, please post it in the comment section below. With that, we've come to the end of part 3 of the calculus series, and we've just covered the product rule. Do stay tuned for part 4 of the series, where we will cover the quotient rule. Thank you for your kind attention and have a great day of learning.